Okay, yes, I'm back. The Sims card ran out of space, so I had to start over with the new Sims card. So I'm going to continue where I just left off, which was showing that there are numerous sins mentioned in the Bible that can get you in trouble. And there's no greater sin, in my opinion. It would have been murder, number one, but that's not even on the seven, excuse me, deadliest sins list, which in my opinion should have been. If they mentioned gluttony and slothfulness, I would have thought that something really more serious would have been on the list. But anyways, we're going to go ahead and continue. I'm basically just showing you other things in the Bible where it lists as well. So how they came up with those seven particular sins, and then to call them deadly sin. A sin is a sin. There is no such thing as one sin in a sense greater than the other. And all sin can be forgiven with the exception of one sin. And the only unpardonable sin is blasphemy against God's Holy Spirit. That sin can never receive forgiveness. So be careful with your words and your tongue. Okay, so I'm going to continue. Okay, this is where we left off with the last video. I was reading this here to you. I'm going to cut the lights. Okay, and it reads, knowing this, that the law is not made for the righteous man. I know we read this before, but we need to absorb it. But for the lawless, the disobedient, for the ungodly, for the sinners, for unholy and profane, for murderers of fathers and murderers of mothers, for manslayers, for whoremongers, for them that defile themselves with mankind, for men stealers, for liars, liars is always in the list, for perjured persons, and if any other thing that is contrary to sound doctrine. Okay, so that's even more of a list. But check this one out. For them that defile themselves with mankind, with the creation and inventions of man. Well, what possibly could that one be? Well, let's take a look. Substance abuse is a primary example. Substance abuse are things, drugs that a lot of people have used, and it is abusive to their body. And there's all kinds of substance abuses. Well, we know that working a job can be stressful, especially when you're new on the job and things don't go the way that you hoped that they would go, or even if for whatever reason you could have come out of a bad relationship. You know, it's all kind of things that can be disappointing in this world. All kinds of things. All the kind of things that can just set off worry. You could just hear that somebody in the family became in a car accident, or someone became sick, or maybe you yourself don't feel well on the job. Normally, these types of things can sometimes lead to unhealthy habits. Somebody can tell you, well, why don't you just take this and it'll, make you feel better. It'll give you energy, or it'll, whatever type of things they may say to you to get you to try things that supposedly will subside a headache or subside tension and stress and worry. And so they give you something that'll supposedly what, make you feel better or cause you to be relaxed, more relaxed. Sometimes when people are stressed out, they'll turn to something like this, alcohol. And all of these are man-made products, came from leaves, came from, I don't know where alcohol comes from, but where does it, okay, I don't know. But anyways, wherever these different substances came from, these things, long-term effects of these things can be detrimental to somebody's health. And then you have to even be careful, because sometimes you can start something and it's not giving you that feeling you want, so you start mixing things, like mixing pills with alcohol. Now you're mixing substances together. And then we talked about driving behind the wheel. Sometimes people can get an addiction to drinking, that they'll think that they can handle themselves on the road. So hopefully officers will catch these people in time and get them off the streets before they do something. End up ruining lives. And then some people turn to marijuana or whatever else you can roll in a piece of paper. And I'm thinking that's marijuana. I don't know what all they use today, so who's really to say? I don't know. But they turn to drugs for whatever reason, whether it's in a leaf form, in a powder form, in taking. And this is sometimes the biggest mistakes that people can have. They can say, well, if I take a lot of them, it's supposed to relieve my headache, and I'm supposed to take 2, but it takes so long for it to go in effect. So maybe if I just take a lot of them, maybe it'll make my headache go away much faster, not knowing that you're subject to overdose, not realizing that that is how you can end up going to sleep and never waking up. And there's so many different forms of drugs out there, okay, that people will invite you to participate in taking, telling you one thing or another what they'll do to help them through whatever situation they're trying to get through. Okay, there's all kinds of drugs out there. Okay. All right. And so you have a lot of things that people can turn to when they become stressed. Let's see what all's in here. Okay, there's a powder form, maybe cocaine in a bag, and then you got the needle where they can shoot up heroin, and that looks like alcohol, and that's a pipe. So I guess they smoking stuff out of that. And then you got cigarettes, and you got all these, oh, there's some more needles, and then there's some more needles there, and then you got all these colorful pills. So I guess these are just all types of, and then I think that's a liquor bottle right there that they poured some liquor in there, So you got all types of ways to self-destruct here, okay? A variety of different ways that Satan will lure you to self-destruct, okay? Your best bet is to stay away from them and away from people who use them. Stay away from them as well. And then some people say, well, I go to bars. mean, when you go to bar, what's at a bar? Okay? Alcohol is at a bar. Do you drink? So if you don't drink, why go in a bar? And then look at all this smoke in the air. I mean, that secondhand smoke, just breathing in those toxic vapor. No, let me see. What's going on here? Okay, I guess, I don't know what she's doing. I can't tell what that is. At first I thought it was a straw going up to what it's not to her mouth, unless it's going to, I don't know. Anyways, there's all kind of toxins out there. But avoid, like the Bible tells you, to abstain from the appearance of evil. If you don't smoke, why go there? Let me see if that... How do you spell appearance? Okay, is that with an E or an A? I guess I'll just wait to find it out. Alright. Well, we'll do it this way. Because I know the Bible tells you to abstain from things. So let's see what all we can learn from what we need to abstain from. Okay, it says that we write unto them, and these are all New Testament scriptures, which Hebrews, we don't follow New Testament scriptures, but I'm just going to just read these. But that we write unto them that we abstain from pollutions of idols, and from fornication, and from things strangled, and from blood. Well, that's definitely Old Testament, so that's good. That ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves, ye shall do well. Fare ye well. Well, there's a whole lot more of things that you have to keep yourself from, though. But it says, for this is the will of God, even your sanctification, that ye should abstain from fornication. That's sex outside of marriage, sex without being married. And then it says, abstain from all appearance of evil. Stay out of bars. If you don't drink, why would you go in a bar? Abstain from, I stated the appearance of evil, abstain from the appearance of evil, but it's abstain from all appearance of evil. Okay? It says, and this is going into forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe to know the truth. Where he's challenging Old Testament, it says forbidding to marry and commanding to abstain from meats. He's not saying all meats, he's saying specifically unclean meats. And then he's saying, which God hath created to be received with thanksgiving of them which believe to know the truth. This is why you gotta be careful. Be careful of New Testament scripture, which will contradict Old Testament scripture, which was given to the Hebrews. This doctrine here was really given to the Romans. It says, dearly beloved, I beseech you as strangers and pilgrims, abstain from fleshly lust, which war against the soul. Yeah, because lust will get you in big trouble. Lusting after things that are not good for you. Okay? And that was one of the sins that was written down. Let me see, where were we? Okay, we were on this. But it was something else I wanted to look up. Okay, this is getting raw with it too. Okay, that's in Romans. So let's go to Romans. because this is a list of things that's telling you that you should not do in a part of what's going on as far as wrath is concerned. There's so much sin going on in this world that God's wrath could be kindled. And if it's kindled, he's going to deal with the people that he is expecting his wrath to deal with. So let's go down here and read the list of what it's telling you. Of the list that it gives you. Okay, let's start reading from here. It says, excuse me, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Yo, that sounds like the Hebrews. Then it says, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worshipped and served the creature more than the Creator. The creature, served the creature, which is probably talking about us, humans, more than the Creator, who we know is God, who is blessed forever. Okay, for this cause, now let me pull this up. Okay, for this cause, God gave them up to vile affections. You know, God can try to get you to come into his will and in his way. He can call you. Many voices are calling, but understand that God will try to get you to draw yourself unto him. He'll try to, he'll, like it tells you that the day that you hear the voice of the Lord, harden not your heart. So he'll call you, but if you keep running for him and you keep disobeying him, it says, for this cause God gave them up to vile affections. For even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in lust one towards another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves the recompense of their errors, which was to meet. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to reprobate minds, to do those things which are not convenient. Okay, so he's going to let you go on down that destructive road. Since you think you're so smart, since you want to be in the in crowd, you know, fine, I'm going to just go ahead and remove my barriers and let you do you. Okay, now let's see what the end result will end up being. It says, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. It says not only are you following down a destructive path, but you even are enjoying being around the people that are sending you down that destructive path. Not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. You're hanging around a negative, influential person, and believe me, when you end up in hell, all these little people that you call yourself clicked in with, not one of them is going to be able to help you. Or put it this way, when you have to stand before God, you're going to be alone when you stand before God. When you stand before the Messiah, who's going to judge you, you're going to look so shamefaced. Why? Because you took all this, his word, his truths, even though his prophecies are evident, and they're even happening even still today, and yet you had so much fun doing wrong. I mean, I'm talking wrong, that you chose to just ignore God. And you have to understand, you never know when death is going to come knocking at your door. And so when death comes knocking at your door, your time's up. And sometimes it may not even give you a chance to get yourself straight with God. You may not have time. Like some people, they'll die slowly. Like they may get cancer or some type of something that'll hospitalize them, and they will wither away slowly, but it gives them a chance on their deathbed. Sometimes he'll call the destruction of the flesh for the saving of the soul. Sometimes, and to me, you better, if you do get that, you better be thankful. You know, it says, sometimes he'll let you go. It says, to deliver such a one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh. Why? Because Satan will set you up for destruction, to kill you, that the spirit may be saved of our Lord. Okay, and I don't go into that name anymore. The Messiah, that the spirit may be saved in the day of our Lord. Okay, look, to deliver such an one to Satan, unto Satan, so that he can go ahead and destroy you. Because once Satan get hold of you, you ain't got no power against the flesh. Has no power to war against the spirit. The spirit world rules. Okay, just like when God lets you go and Satan gets on you, he's gonna try to kill you. But God might have mercy on you to let him put you in a state where you won't die immediately. That way you will understand that, look, I know I'm about to die, because whatever kind of ailment that caused you to be in that state, of whatever state you might be in, whether it's cancer or stroke or heart attack or whatever, you come out of that and you ready to get right with God. You know, Lord, I'm sorry. If I die, please let my soul enter into your eternal glory. I am so sorry for this. I'm sorry, I messed up. I'm a sinner. I'm no good. But forgive me, a sinner. And you get your heart and soul right before God on your deathbed. And it said the spirit may be saved in the day of the Lord. You repented on your deathbed. That was a great mercy, because some people go out so fast, like in an auto accident, like in a plane crash, all kinds of ways. Step out and a car hit you because you didn't see the car, because you didn't have sense enough to look both ways before you leaped out, or you took for granted. Okay, like this. And this is, I really don't even want to show this, but let me show you some things, because a lot of people take so much for granted, and it is really unfortunate that they do. But I'm going to show you some things that you do not take life for granted. Because and I was watching this one day. I don't know how I got on this, But it's so much on the YouTube. You can easily be looking at something else, and they'll pop up all kinds of stuff, and then you start venturing, and you're like, oh my goodness. But if I can get this to come up, I'm going to show you something, so that you will not take the things of God for granted. If I can get it to come up. Oh, it's no longer running or something? Okay. Well, maybe I won't be able to show you. Okay, now this is something that you would least suspect, right? Well, let me see if I can get it up. But this will help you to know, don't take life for granted, because you do not know what may or may not happen in this world. Nobody's promised tomorrow, okay? And that's primarily what I'm wanting to try to help you to realize. Nobody is promised tomorrow. Okay, I'm getting tired of fooling with this. I can't even see it. Let me bring this down some. Okay, I'm gonna have to try another one, because this is not responding, and I don't have the patience of Job. Alright, let me close this out and just reopen it. Let me see if I can open this. Okay. Well, I can't get YouTube to open, so I won't be able to show you that. What I was going to show you, which would have taught you, do not take anything for granted in this world, because this world is a very unpredictable world, and there's no way for you to know your tomorrow. Only God knows your tomorrow. Okay? Only God knows your tomorrow. Oh, come on, really. I wish I was more computer literate. I really do. When you don't have patience, like I don't have a tremendous amount of patience, you know, I'm always working on patience, but it seems like I can always use more. Okay. Man, oh, this is frustrating. Whatever happened to just come on and pull up? Now, it's supposed to be. And how did this get down so low? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, if I had a kid up here, he'd be able to work this computer like it wasn't nothing. But then you get old school up here and they fumbling all over the place. Okay, let's see if we can get this up. And see, this will teach you and not to take life for granted, you know, because but one thing you have to understand, that you're going to leave here. When it's God's will, you will leave here. If it's God's will for you to go, you will leave. It's something that you have to realize as well. So, I mean, don't be so paranoid about every little least thing in this world. But understand that when it's God's time, you will go. Okay? Let's see if we can get this pulled up. Okay, let's see what happens. Now, and this was, I saw this one day. I don't know what I saw that got me watching this, but I was just like really outdone with this. Now watch, let me see if I can get this lower so you can see this, and browse browse and see what is on the internet. Why? Because some of this stuff can save your life just by learning from somebody else's mistakes. It's not that you but I saw stuff that is just crazy as heck. Okay, I mean, people just and viewer discretion is with these. But if you type this in, stuff will come up that will make you definitely never again take anything for granted. Okay, I mean, it'll make you not be foolish by learning from somebody else's mistake. I don't want to get anything that's too horrible, but I can't know what's horrible unless I open it up. And I don't want to get nothing like that, because that looks like a horrible accident. But I'm trying to just find something that's like not what I don't know what would be. So I'll just pull up something and let's just see what it does. And hopefully it's not too crazy. But just to show you that you have to be careful, even though you may be in the right. You could be see, and they were in the right. See, this is what I mean. Now see, this is what I'm meaning. Never take anything for granted. They look both ways, and they thought when they walked out into the intersection, the woman said that she thought that he would stop. No, you don't assume what somebody else may or may not do. You have one life, and you have to have sense enough to do things that will preserve your life, okay? I mean, even though a person who knows the Lord would want to go home and be in God's will and in God's way, but you're not trying to destroy your life, okay? You're not trying to destroy your life, all right? So, and then not to mention the fact that she had kids, really, that's all the more reason not to assume. I mean, people are under the influence of a lot of things these days, and you never know what a person is under the influence or what they're doing. So please, don't be foolish, please. Think. And I could also pull up videos about people who don't wear their seatbelts. That'll make you start putting your seatbelt on, because these people are actually airborne, okay? They are actually airborne. So we were right here. Okay. We're going to keep it moving. Abstain from all appearance of evil. If you don't smoke and drink, why are you in this place? Well, obviously, maybe she does, but because she's holding a beer can, she's holding whatever that is in her hand. I'm sure it's some alcoholic beverage, and I don't know if this is smoke coming from. I think that's her holding something. So, but this is not the type of person you want to be associated with. It's not a positive, influential person. So just keep things like that in mind. Stay away from the appearance of all evil. Stay away from all appearances of evil. And if you are pregnant, understand that whatever you take in, your child is also getting some exposure to. If I don't know what that is that a pill? Okay, I think that's a pill, and I don't even know what that is. But whatever, understand your unborn baby is affected by what you do. Okay. All right. Let's see. Breastfeeding. Also, when you've had your baby and the baby is out, understand if you're breastfeeding and you're taking some type of drugs, how substance abuse affects breastfeeding. Well, if it's in your system, then you know that the baby is getting it through the milk. If you're breastfeeding and you're doing drugs, some of that is going to be taken into your baby's system when you breastfeed, because it's in your system. And the worstest tragedy of it all is when kids are involved. Okay? If this poor little girl has a drunk for a mother, is it no wonder she looks as scruffy as she looks? Look like she hasn't been bathed, her hair hasn't been combed, and she does not look at all happy. I mean, she looks much older than probably her age. Have you ever seen a kid that looks old? Have you ever seen a kid that looks like they've been here before and stuff like that? So, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your little ones. Do it for your kids. They didn't ask to be here. Just hold out and let them become adults where they can become self-sufficient and be on their own. Then you can do your own little way, but give them a chance to make it in life. Some people say that when you're trying to cut a cigarette habit, because your hand is used to going back and forth up to your mouth and it becomes routine, just start using a pen. Use a pen to put back and forth up to your mouth if that's what you need to help you get rid of that cigarette habit. Just put something else up to your mouth, and that might help you to break that habit. I don't know how true that is, but that's what I heard. And this is just a cry for help. Somebody that's got a pill addiction and they need help. Get what you need. Get the help that you need. Reach out to help organizations in your neighborhood, in your state, and get into a group or get the help you need. You know, me, myself, if I was to reach out first, it would be to God, not man. I mean, if I had a problem, I would cry out and ask the Lord to help me, you know, before I would go to man. But everybody, some people go to a hospital before they go to God. They feel a pain and they go and they run to the hospital with their pain. I run to God with my pain if I have any pains, or what else could I think of? Any situation, I go and I tell it to the Lord. And I take it to Him first. And I try to allow God to help me. I try to wait and allow God to help me. Sometimes He'll help me spontaneously, and sometimes He may help me, you know, gradually, you know. So He doesn't always respond spontaneously, but there's been times when He has. So I'll go to my Father, my YAH God, in Yahushua's name, and I give Him and the open opportunity to help me with what I need, you know. But those who may not have that faith or strength, then go to these places that will help you. And hopefully one day, all these seats will be empty. Why? Because the world has cleaned up its act. The world has stopped sinning in God's sight. The world has turned to God. And now all these seats are no longer even usable. Okay, hopefully. Okay, but unfortunately it says that the majority of the world is lost. But freedom is awesome. Freedom is just wonderful. Who does not like freedom? I mean, who would want to be in bonds and chains and in beneath somebody's feet? Nobody. So if you don't do it for yourself, do it for the ones that love you. Okay? If it's not for you, do it for them. Okay? Because sometimes people fight for their kids. I have children at home. I got to get it straight. You see what I mean? So if that will help you, please do whatever will help you. Now, another sin that is causing another sin of the nations. Now, we've been through a lot of sins of the nations, haven't we? We've been through a lot of sins of the nations. But these are even more sins of the nation. Okay, we all, if we know anything about God, or if we have any belief in God, 9 times out of 10, we have visited a church. Catholic faith is not my faith. I found out that faith is man-made denominations and all these different titles that they put on churches and on faiths and stuff. I'm non-denominational myself. I just trust and believe God. So I bless Him because I'm not caught up in a group that is saying that they are the only ones who knows God and everybody else is going to hell. You can't make that judgment call, because the Bible lets me know I guess I came out of Google. Okay, let's go back in Google if I can. Well, I'm not looking actually for that, but here we go with this again. Okay, I don't want this here. And so understand that there are so many things on, there's so many things on the internet that can help you to learn not to take life for granted. Life is short. It's already short, but you don't want to live a short life and still go to hell. So just try and Do what's right. Okay, just try to do the right thing before God. And when you mess up, don't beat yourself up. Please don't beat yourself up. Just ask the Lord to forgive you, empower you, and to help you. Okay? Okay. Now, be very careful about opening your mouth in judgment against anybody, because it says, so the last shall be first, and the first last. For many be called, but few are chosen. And we're talking about of God. Okay? There may be many that are called by man, for many be called, but only few are actually chosen. Chosen of God. But don't judge because you don't know who's going to make it in. It says because so that the last shall be first and the first shall be last. Let me see something. Let's see. Okay, this is the one I was looking for earlier. But many that are first shall be last, and the last shall be first. Many that are first shall be last, and the last first. So some of the ones you think that's going to make it in, like you see all these pastors and they talking all these speaking all these mighty words and whatnot, and putting on these performances, and then behind closed doors they devils. How do I know that? Well, God gets on them. God gets on them because of their deceits. Because he tells you, woe. Uh-oh. Shame on me. And see, the thing is that it's a responsibility. Come on, are you serious? Okay, let me put it this way. We're going to have to just go down the line. And I'm just going to read. It says, for the pastors are become brutish and have not sought the Lord. Therefore they shall not prosper, and all their flocks shall be scattered. You got to understand that these pastors have to give an account for their wrongs. Don't think that being behind that pulpit is going to lock them a place in with the Lord. It says, woe be unto the pastors. I put woe unto the pastors. Okay, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pastor, saith the Lord. And he goes on getting on the pastors. Why? Because they're looking through you for help, spiritual help. And here you are, instead of helping God's people, you making matters worse. It says, therefore saith the Lord of Israel against the pastors that feed my people. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you evil for your doing, saith the Lord. And it tells you that some are even making merchandise of them. So anyways, God has to even get on the pastors, because after all, the pastors are still human, but that's all the more reason not to look to them as if they're God. Not to look to them as if they are above being human. So they're flesh like we're flesh, but they have a great responsibility because they have committed themselves to the service of the Lord. And they get to the point where they get too high and they think that they can mistreat God's flock. No, you cannot. God is not going to tolerate that. You're not going to mistreat God's flock without consequences. Now, you can be in a lavishly big building and extravagant interior design, okay? I mean, you can have an organized setup or congregation where everybody's dressed the same and everybody's with their hand in a praying motion and everybody seems peaceful and tranquil. You know, I mean, you're putting on a front. You're putting on a front, but and then you have parents that are trusting you. They trust you enough to let you touch their child. And there's some sick things that have been going on in these churches. But I'm kind of tired now, and it gets me frustrated to talk about some of this stuff, so I'm going to bypass it for now. But even little kids, they're trusting. They're trusting, and they feel as if you are someone special to them. It's kind of like grandpa. I mean, I love my grandpa, I'm talking about my grandpa on my dad's side. I love my grandpa. I mean, I love my grandpa. And I love my grandmother on my mother's side. I wasn't too close with my grandpa's, his wife that he married. She was very nice to me, but I just really didn't talk a lot to her. But when we saw Grandpa, we always ran to Grandpa. And when my mother's mother came into town, I always enjoyed seeing Mother. So I enjoyed, and he looks like we looked when our grandparents came in town. Everybody was running to him and giving him big hugs because we enjoyed seeing our grandparents. Because we see our parents on a daily basis. So, but the grandparents you don't see as often. But then you get into abuses that are not openly exposed, that's not made known. You get into priest abuses, and see, you might say, oh, well, no one knows it. No, God knows everything, and he's beaming right down on you as he is with others. Now, a kid is a kid. He's not going to be perfect. He's going to, and look at that. I don't know how he got that black eye, but you could see the parent standing kind of over him with her fist in a ball, and the poor little guy has a black eye, and he's looking totally unhappy. I mean, that is not the face that a child should have. A child should have just bursting amounts of energy, and they should be full of play. And look at how this child is looking. Something is definitely wrong in this picture. But these are abuses, and I don't know to say that she's hitting that child, but how else is his eye black? I doubt that he fell down the stairs. Now, this here is another form, intimidation, scaring this boy. You get him in a corner or by himself, and you're grabbing him in the collar and threatening him. Who's to say what he's saying to this kid? But that kid is looking very uncomfortable and definitely fearful of this person. Okay, so these are types of things that parents need to pay attention to. is how your kid acts around certain people or around people. You know, it says here 300. Wow. 300 priests accused of abuse. That's a lot of priests, okay? And I don't know if this is nationwide or what, but that's still, even if it was worldwide, that's still a lot of abuses. I know that these Catholic priesthoods and whatnot are pretty strict, or however they're trying to teach them and to discipline them, teach them to be, you know, well-mannered and different things. But my goodness, you know, they're kids too. Fremont priest charged. Now, I'm not exactly sure what he was charged in, and I don't know whether or not if he came out to be guilty or not. But, you know, it's unfortunate that these little kids are being caught up in this stuff. And parents, you're partly to blame. Why? Because you should be able to read and know your kid enough to be able to figure out that something's not right. Okay? But this is stuff that will bring sins upon the nations as well. 47 priests with substantiated abuse claims. Catholic Diocese of Green Bay. Where is Green Bay? I remember seeing something about Green Bay. But it means they with substantiated abuse claims. They pretty much have evidence of this. So these are the type of problems. And see, you got to understand that when you're doing things to these kids, God is looking down at this. He sees this. You might have a lot from man, but you're having nothing from God. Nothing at all from God. Head of Catholic Church in Liberia, Archbishop Louis Z. Bowler, accused of homosexuality and abuse of power. But they got homosexuality written small and abuse of power written big. Well, man, shouldn't they both be written big? Homosexuality should definitely be written big. I mean, you're talking about this man being involved with other men or boys. And I'm not able to read what this fine print is saying up on there. It's not even clear as I'm looking at my computer. It's not even printed out clear. But these are the type of acts that God is frowning down upon. These will kindle his wrath. Okay? This will kindle his wrath. It says, accused Texas clergy. In 2019, there was 286, and in 2020, there's 332. Well, isn't this just now 2020, 4 months into this year, and already 332 have been accused? Wow, what do you think the numbers will be at the end of this year? It's, you know, it's so unfortunate. So we have a lot of cleaning up to do in the sight of God. We got to get this nonsense straight, you know. Okay, molestation accusation made against former Dubuque priest, and I guess that's his name, Leo Riley. I don't know what the F-R means. Okay. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, Archdiocese abuse list, still living. And then you got the name of all these names. Okay, and this is on a news station. Looks like the building is taped up. So I don't know that they're still using wherever it is that he is. Oh, no, my mistake. That's a labeling. And that says New Orleans. New Orleans on there. And these are just stickers on the glass window. Okay. So we have a lot of work to do. We have a lot of cleaning up our acts to do, because see, these types of things is what will cause God to send his plagues down on these nations. Okay. It says, in depth, news names 4 local Catholic priests accused of child sex abuse. And this is another news station. Mothers, parents, fathers, help your kids. Because it's really just unfortunate that all this is taking place right beneath your nose. If you knew your child, now this is one that's being brought into court, and I don't know if he was accused or not, and I don't know his name or anything else. I just happened to see it in that section with all these other things. Okay, and this is a list. Catholic sex abuse scandal. Names and photos of 109 priests released. And this is another news station. But you can't always listen to the media. I know that the media, is basically, they just want a story. They just want something that will gravitate media ratings, cause their their ratings to excel, to increase. So sometimes sometimes the media, you can't necessarily even trust what you hear on the media. And this is somebody standing just looking at all the faces and whatnot that, this is happened to, you know what I mean. I've been kind of up a while, and so these are sins of the nation. Don't think because man don't see you that God don't see you. God is the one that you should be concerned about. And these are more people, but let me see what it reads, or does it read? Okay. It says, accused perpetrators in the Diocese of Albany. That's probably New York. So, this is so unfortunate. But understand that a lot of states do have the same city names. So that may not necessarily be New York. Okay, and then it's got, and see, this is just to show you the sins of these nations. Okay, it's got clergy accused of child sexual abuse in Hawaii. Okay, clergy accused of child sexual abuse in Hawaii. Okay, and there's a list of them there. It look like some of their faces is hidden. It don't look like there's any faces in these sections here. So does it have names? But I think it might have their names, just not their faces. So yeah, and so these are sins of the nations. So many of them. Okay, and more people that are listed. Now these, I think, had the names down there. No, they did not. Okay. I thought they had names. Well, no, they might have. Let me see. Because I did go up one page. Yeah, these, I think, have or listed names, if you might know any of them. And I can't even read the names because the names are blurred. So, yeah. And I mean, to look at them, you would not think that they would be the type of people that they are. But what con looks like a con? Okay? I mean, you have people that look like the friendliest people, and yet these people are abusing their power. And so, yeah, some of them, they have the name of the person, but they do not have a photo image of them. And I mean, some of the friendliest looking people that you would not see them as being predators, you know. So it's unfortunate. But these types of sins of the world, I mean, sins is why the God is plaguing these nations. Okay. And there's another list of them where they got them, a list of just, but it said over 300, so, you know, it would be even more than these. But they just have, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them. And who's to say if the room was fully photographed that it would be even more than these 6. And this is in San Francisco. I don't know, this one here says San Francisco. I'm not sure where the other ones are. So, and then a lot of them too are without photos, just their names. So, and it's no wonder that people are leaving the churches. I mean, you know, if I had heard that the top officials in my church were under all kinds of devious acts, I wouldn't come there. There's nothing that they could come out of their mouth. How can you tell me to do right when you're doing wrong? How can you tell me what to do when you're not even following your own words? How can you instruct me when you're not right? So it's no wonder that people, like it tells you that how we read where it said woe unto the pastors. Remember when it was saying that because of them that God's sheep remember when we read how as a result of their ways, how they are causing God's sheep to be astray. They don't have anyone to lead them. Okay? It says, therefore, thus saith the Lord God of Israel against the pastors that feed my sheep. Ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. You, like somebody might be sick or in need, and you've not even went to see about them. Behold, I will visit upon you evil for your doing, saith the Lord. You know, it's sad. Okay? It's really sad that these things are happening, but the scriptures are just basically letting you know that this stuff exists. Okay? It exists. Not all people have left the church, but I know good and well I would not want my kids around somebody once I found out that they are not that they're a hypocrite, and that they're not practicing what they preach. No, I wouldn't attend either. Because, I mean, to me, you put yourself in that position if you knew that he was subject to do something and then you're shocked that something else happened. Well, you knew he was a wolf in sheep's clothing. So what really are you surprised about? It is what it is. And it's not just the Catholic priests that are committing all types of wrongs, but I just heard on the news that they have a lawsuit against Cub Scouts. Okay? Even Cub people, Cub Scout leaders. It says liberals demand Boy Scouts allow openly gay leaders. Liberals demand Boy Scouts allow openly gay leaders. Now, the Boy Scouts are all boys. Why possibly would liberals who are the ones who are gays demand that Boy Scouts allow openly gay leaders? You know, remember when I told you about how one drop going unchecked will eventually lead to a worse and worse scenario, to the point where when it comes to sin, it'll be an uncontrollable flood. Now the gay people, liberals, are demanding that Boy Scouts allow openly gay people to be the leaders of boys, and then denounce them for molestation allegations. Now, okay, and then denounce them for molestation allegations. Look, okay, number one, you all want to be over some boys and you're gay. My kid wouldn't be there. There's absolutely no way in this world. And then you want to denounce them for molestation allegations. Then you want to try and say that you would never touch a boy. Look, you gay. Okay? I mean, there's no way in the world, anyways, how crazy is that? I guess that's the only way to sum that up. How crazy is that? But it is unfortunate because kids enter these organizations. Okay, sometimes these can be underprivileged kids, and they can give these underprivileged kids a positive, constructive road to travel on when they're out of school. I mean, why not have a kid in an organization where they can learn boy things like going camping and swimming and fishing and doing all types of fun guy things, instead of just being in the streets picking up bad habits? This is a good thing to keep young boys on a positive path and keep them going down a constructive road. That's good. These are good things. It's just so unfortunate that adults have to mess things up with their twistedness. You got young boys here, that's learning positive things, how to tie a knot, slip knots, or whatever they teach them that are boy constructed things. That's good. But why do you have to have grown people that always have to come and do something that's just redundant? He looks like an older one. I guess he's maybe a teen, possibly, I don't know. But they take them young, and I guess until they are, now these are different ages here. He looks like he's practically grown. Okay. But he's got a lot of little belts and, little pendants on his thing. And those are like little treats, little rewards. And then you got the little fellow here, who can look up to these older people to help him to be a better person. Hopefully help him to be a better person, and hopefully they're treating him right, because sometimes you can have older people like him, or just older people than him. They could try to be mean and do kind of mean things because they're bullied. They can be bullyish. But that's why you have to keep kids with their own group. This makes more sense. Instead of having like all kinds of groups together, this to me would be the safer bet. Let them stay with their own ages. Let them stay with their own age group. That protects them. I don't think it's a good thing when you have little ones intermingled with big ones, So I think that they, in their own age group, is the best bet. And here you have, again, Cub Scouts. I don't know what that means. I guess that's like telling the truth or something when they have a hand up like that. But that's awesome. I think it's a really good thing. Just get rid of all the other clutter. And it's associated with, okay, and now we're getting into the good things. That was the positive things about it. And now we're getting into the cluttery things. Boy Scouts of America abuse files. And it's this is so unfortunate that you can have a positive, constructive organization that can help better the lives of young boys, to keep them off the streets, to give them something to look forward to during the summer. Then you come up with this mess. Sex offender coach kids after scout abuse. So it says sex offender coach kids after scout abuse. So I don't know how to I don't know how to even respond to this stuff anymore. It says right here, sex ring involved troop leader. So you got this is why they need to keep kids with their own ages, and they need to let them stick together, because it's less likely that something will happen to one if it's always a group together. You see what I mean? Don't let them single kids out and get them separate from one another. Keep all the kids in a group together. That way, if something comes up, you got enough evidence and you got enough witnesses to be able to tell a story. It says Boy Scout troop leader accused of sexual abuse faced a judge today. Now, I don't know which one of them is the accused. I guess the one that's, I don't know, whichever one it is. But these people just don't look like they would do these types of acts. But I guess when you think about Jeffrey Dahmer, he didn't look like the type that would end up doing murdering and eating people. He didn't look like that type. Yeah, and he even fooled a police officer from what was told. So looks are just highly deceptive. You just can't look at a person and detect anything. You just can't look at them and detect. And then it says Operation Safe Summer. They're trying to figure out a way to make kids safe. Oh, well, all these have criminal files. They all look like they've been all in orange. So Operation Safe Files. So maybe this is giving them a heads up as to who have been in prison for things, by showing them their photos so that they won't hire them. So I'm guessing that's what that is to make sure that they don't hire these people. And these people are predators. I mean, they are just predators. These are adults that would prey on little innocent children. But parents, it's vitally important for you to know your child. If you don't know your child, that's sad, because you don't know what he's going through. And if he don't have you to talk to, then that makes matters even worse. Because who is he going to go to for help if he can't talk to his own parents? So don't be brushing them off. Listen to them and help them. Now this is horrible. And this too is horrible. Now we went through, what was that about the priest? A priest abuse and sex offenders. And then we went through the Boy Scout abuse and sex offenders. Now we're going to human trafficking case, and it's got human trafficking charges. So these two individuals are human trafficking chargers, and that's on a news station. Human trafficking. This is a sin, taking someone else's child from them. Okay, that's horrible. That is, even from slavery, that was horrible. It says 7 investigators. The dangerous world of human trafficking in Metro Detroit. And so you have these people that are snatching up these little babies. So watch your kids. Keep your eyes on your kids. Child sex slaves, America's disturbing secret. This shouldn't be no secret. You should be watching your kids. Look, you keeping this stuff a secret is how kids are continually becoming snatched. If the world doesn't know what's going on, these kids will keep coming up missing. So make it known so that these parents will start watching their children. Now let's see what this little one is into. Okay. I can't see this that well, so I'm going to have to read it on my computer, and you can try to read it. I tried to pull it up. But it says, I am someone's daughter, and I won't give up until I'm home again. My childhood is tarnished. I shouldn't be here. Neither, they spelled neither wrong, neither should my friends down the hall. So that means she's not even there alone. She can hear other kids around her as well. It says, I miss my family and I dream of them, but their faces are getting blurry and I'm scared I'll never see them again. And you know, that is really so unfortunate about a young man, because especially when they're, and then this, if a child wrote this, then of course, because I spell things wrong sometimes too, so but if she's hearing other kids down the hall, then that means they are selling these kids or something. They are transporting these kids or something. I don't know, you know, I mean, she's hearing other kids down the hall. And what's sad about a young man is that they may, I mean, I would think she's old enough where she would probably not forget her parents. I would see like a baby that hadn't seen his parents in like a few years, he might forget the face, because a baby's memory, they just don't have long-term memories. But her, she should pretty much remember her parents for life at her age, I would think, you know. But an infant or a toddler, that might be the case, but she's old enough where she should know her parents and even be able to even recognize, what do you call it? Recognize relatives and friends as well. Sex trafficking. People kidnapping kids. You notice that he has his hand on her and over her mouth, and this little girl, and that's a pretty huge hand. He could easily pick her up and she's gone. Okay, so parents, watch, monitor your kids. Keep up with your kids. Stop human trafficking. Yes, stop it. And here's a little kid where it's showing him kind of like not even in a room, because he's like a little, he's little. I don't know how old this little one is, but he's little. Now he could possibly, over a period of time, forget the face of his parents because he's still young. But once they get in like elementary school and stuff like that, they should pretty much have a good idea of what their parent would look like. Okay, but he's a little one, and they have him in some type of just like a playpen or something kind of material, I'm thinking. But his man is so young, he just doesn't know how he could get out, because he just has such a young mind. Then look at this baby. Poor thing. Okay, I mean, scared, just crying, and she's tied up, you know, and she's in some just, I don't know where in the world, just grotesque area, you know. I mean, who wouldn't be scared? Even as an adult, out if tied up in some area like this, and you're isolated and you have no idea what's going on with you, I'd be crying too, and I'm a grown woman, an older woman. I'd be scared too. So this is so unfortunate. I mean, and parents that kids disappear, I cannot imagine the horror. I know they can't even sleep at night. I cannot even imagine what they're going through. But that's all the more reason to watch your kids, so that your kids don't end up becoming taken from you. Keep an eye on them. I remember not too long ago, I was in the restroom, and I think I was washing my hands, and a little girl kept coming in and out, and I said, you know, sweetheart, why don't you tell your parents to come to the bathroom with you? I said, because they're doing so much in today's world, and they are taking little kids your age. I said, so when you come to the restroom, have your parent with you, and let your parent know that I told you that. And so she said, oh, okay. And I guess she went and told her parent, and I just kind of saw her parent, and I was hoping that we could have talked, because they should know better than this stuff. But they kind of was walking away, so I left it alone. But I'm hoping that that child never becomes one of these kids, because people take so much for granted until something happens. Now look at this here. He obviously was in these chains. Let me see. Okay, so you can see that this adult is yelling, pointing and yelling at him. He obviously had him in these chains, and he's receiving money probably for this kid, but he's got money on the table, so I'm assuming he was getting paid for the child. I don't know. I guess he's selling the child. So, and the kid is just with his head down. I mean, what little bitty kid, young kid, what can he just, and he's got his head down. I mean, he's crying, scared. So parents, don't do these. Don't allow this to be your child. Protect your child by just supervising, watching, monitoring your child. Don't turn your back. Like I watched this movie Kidnapped with Halle Berry in it, and I saw several mistakes she made. Several mistakes that she made. When your kid is at a park playing, that don't mean that you let him run free and not watch him. If he goes a distance, your eyes should always be able to see your child. And she took a call, had her child sit down, turned her back to her child and walked away. Look, I can talk on the phone and still be looking at my child. I can have even if I don't want my child in my conversation, I can talk in a way where he really still don't know quite what I'm speaking about. I can just use little short phrases that he wouldn't be knowledgeable of, like, oh, okay, yeah, right, yeah, okay, gotcha. I mean, there's ways you can talk where people really don't know your conversation, but you still keep that child within reach and within sight, okay? Because parents, this should not have to be. This should not have to be. When school is out, be there on time. Let your kids know where to meet you, and make sure that you're looking at that door for them to come out that right door. You know what kind of clothes you sent him in, and he should be in those same clothes when you go pick him up at school or when he gets off the school bus or however, okay? Now this child is unfortunate. This is an older child. I don't know what age, if she's nearing a teenage stage maybe, I don't know, but she's alone and she's isolated. She's alone and she's in a situation barefooted, and that's unfortunate. All these videos are very unfortunate videos, and in my opinion could have been avoided had these parents been more on their P's and their Q's. Okay, get on it. Now look at this child here. Now this is clearly, she is tied up, her arms are tied up, and they're exchanging money. So she's being sold. That, okay. Oh, Lord. Okay, let me hurry up through this because I'm starting to get pissed off. Like I got pissed off with them darn alligators eating our young Hebrew babies. Okay, let me get off that subject too before I really start going off. Now it says, what happened to these girls? Yeah, good question. What happened to them? The parents have to be worried sick, hoping that they'll find them alive. Okay, and this is primarily the biggest mistake. The biggest mistake. Look, this young girl is completely all alone. It doesn't look like she has a purse on her or anything, and she doesn't seem to have a cell phone, nothing. She's all alone and she has nothing. She's not even on the phone talking with someone as she's walking. Okay, anybody can walk up behind her, hit her in the head, or just put some of this, what's this that they put on a cloth. It's a liquid that they put on a cloth and they put over your mouth, and it makes you pass out. Oh, I know I've seen this on some movie before. Anyways, whatever that substance is, that I don't want to, if it's chloroform, okay, but anyways, it's a substance that they can put on a cloth, and if you breathe it in, it'll make you go to sleep. They could come behind her because she's not paying attention. She's just walking. One or two guys could come behind her. One guy could put the chloroform on her, and this vehicle right here, they could put her right in the car. or that vehicle coming up that she's approaching. Come on, people. You got to get wiser. Look, and then look at how she's dressed. I mean, what are you doing with a mini skirt on? And you, okay, see, and then you can tell it's getting nighttime. Why? Look at all these bright lights from the other vehicles. Lights. It's getting dark, and she's out there alone in a mini skirt. Now that pisses me off because she put herself in a position where something could happen. And as soon as she walks past this car, this is like a taller vehicle, like a truck or a van. This they could use, as soon as she cleared this car, they could just snatch her in that van and you wouldn't see her because this car is blocking it. And the traffic is probably coming in the direction this way. And so the traffic going this way, that car would block them putting her in that vehicle. So things like this pisses me off because she's probably a little smart mouth that is rebellious, not listening to her parents and doing what she want to do. But then when her little butt is snatched up in that van or something and disappears, she'll be wishing that she had to listen to her parents to get in before dark. Never be alone. Wear decent attire, clothes that cover your body. But see, she's got to get amongst her friends and be like them, and she wants to be like them. Okay? And so this is a primary victim for something like that. Because, you know, she put herself in such, and in her mind, she thinks she's invincible, untouchable. And yeah, that just happened to them. It could never happen to me until it actually happens to her. Now, see, the thing I'm not understanding, how is this happening? How is a person, this little, and it looks to me almost like an adult. She's just a petite adult, because I'm looking at her arms. She doesn't have really young person's arms. This might be just a miniature or petite adult. But the thing is that how is this happening to people's kids when the parents should have somebody always there with them? But you know, I'm going to tell you something, okay? Parent, I don't wish this on nobody. You see, this here is a parent that has a heart of worry and stress and fear. If her child is one of the missing children, she you know, just worrying alone is just, it's torment. I mean, it's just torment to not know what your child is going through. You can't sleep. It's nighttime. You know, you can look behind her and tell it's nighttime and she's not going to get any rest. Because when you are worried, sick, insomnia is just going to be the norm. You're going to wear yourself down. And then you're going to get up early in the morning, or what little sleep you might get, you'll get up early in the morning, and your day will consist of just search. But you could have prevented this unless you got a little rebellious teen, put her butt in boot camp. It's better than her ending up like this. Put her in boot camp, put her in juvenile detention or whatever kind of organization that will help these little rebellious teenagers, because I know they can be a work. I mean, they could be work. But this is an unfortunate situation. How is this? And unless she was like that other girl that we saw walking alone, and now look at her. Now look at her, wishing she had listened to her parents, to be in early, to dress, to cover yourself. See, these little teens walk practically naked. Look at this, shorts. You know, cover yourself up. You know, stop being in the streets any kind of way. Cover yourself up, okay? I mean, that's no guarantee that you won't get snatched, but, I mean, cover yourself up. And this looks like an adult. So I guess kidnapping, you know, when you think about it, it's not always just a kid thing. This looks like an adult that probably put up a fight, and that's why her eye is wounded. She's got a bruise on her eyes, and she probably attempted to fight. Well, I got her logic. You know, hey, if I'm going, before I let somebody take me, it's going to be a fight. Okay, it's going to be on. because if I can at least get some of their hair strands on the ground in the area beneath my nails, or any type of evidence that you could possibly leave behind, try to leave it behind. Because if he's going to kill you, I'd rather you kill me here where my body can be found than for me to let you get in that car and to let you take me somewhere, and you're probably going to kill me once you get finished abusing me anyways. So I may as well go on and take my chances here. Okay? And this is sad because these little bitty boys, you know, look at him. And he doesn't even have a shirt on. So it almost makes you wonder, how is that the case? A little boy with no shirt on? Okay? So, I don't know if that was somebody in the house that might have had something to do with his disappearance. Maybe while he was sleeping in the bed, somebody might have took him out of his bed and disappeared with him. But lock your doors. Okay? Lock your doors. Lock your windows. Don't make it easy for people to come in and disrupt your family. And here's somebody, judging by her hands, she does not look young. She looks like she might be older with just young feet. She's got fingernail polish on, but her hands look pretty old. So I don't know exactly to say that that's a young person or not. But I guess if a kidnapper wants to kidnap you, you don't, you know. But I don't think that he profit much off of an older person as he would somebody young. And she doesn't look young, okay? But it can happen to anyone. You can be an adult, and you can still end up kidnapped. Okay, and these kids now, I don't know if they really got tape on them or not, but if they do, I doubt that they'd be out in public, broad day public, with tape over their mouths. So I don't know what's up with that, and I don't know because if they're tied together or how the situation is. But anyways, these are people that's got tape over their mouth. And I think these are people that were guilty. Oh, no, I think these were people that they found that were missing and that they did find, I think. Okay, but let's learn about how to learn when, how to recognize, let's see, how to recognize. Now, I may have to read this on the screen because I may not be able to see it close up. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm trying to get this as big as I can, where it'll fit on the screen. Okay, I guess that's about, but this says a groundbreaking study from the University of Texas estimates over 70,000 minors and teenagers in Texas today are victims of sex trafficking. These children need help. Austin Oral Surgery, together with area dental professionals, are working to identify these victims of child sex trafficking, and you can help. It says, be on the lookout for visual injury scars, tattoos of ownership, money symbols, emoticons, evidence of being controlled, not allowed to speak for herself, no formal ID, documents held by companion, untreated dental or medical needs, malnutrition, torn femur, what's a torn femur? Script or memorized history, appearance younger than stated age, subordinate, hyper, vigilant or fearful behavior, companion who refuses to leave. So it says here, I'm going to try to pull this up, because just in the event you happen to see somebody that needs help, you can write down this information here. It says, if you suspect someone is a victim of a if you suspect someone is a victim of sex trafficking, call the National Human Trafficking Resource Center at 888-373-7888 or text help or info to 233-733 for discreet help. For more information, go to Educate1Save1.com. So if you should see any child or teen or even adult, that you might, try to snap a picture of them, number one. In my opinion, if everybody has smartphones today, and most of us can even take videos, and you can kind of be at a distance, not really actually being observed, and shoot a video or take a photo image, just zoom it in and take a photo of the child. But most importantly, take a photo of who the child is with. Because if you can take a photo, you may not want to intervene and say nothing because you don't want them to pull out a knife and cut you open like a gut fish. But take a picture of the people that the child is with, and then go to the police and tell them this is a child that I saw, and let them do a matchup of that child. And if they find out that that child is missing, then you've given them the evidence they need, because you've shown them who the child is with. And then when they leave, take a picture of the vehicle, get a picture of the license plate. It's a lot you can do on the low. You don't necessarily have to say, hey, or whatever. You just see something that's weird, start photographing, start video, get out your phone. Always look, something, look on the internet at how often people use their phone to take photos and videos. You'd be shocked at what people have photographed. Whenever any event occurs, look at how people will quickly get out their phones and start videotaping it. So do the same. When you see something odd that's not right, instead of approaching or addressing the issue, just take pictures. Take pictures. Pictures are worth 1,000 words, and videos even more so. And if you can take a picture of the vehicle, everything you can think of to photograph. More. It's better to take too many pictures than not enough. And you could save a life. You could save a child. And best of all, your name can remain anonymous. Just tell them, you don't want this person coming after you. So you just want to give them the information to go get that child, to return that child back to his parents, but you don't want your name in anything, because you don't want these people coming at you for trying to do the right thing. And they should be willing to work with you to save a child's life. So just keep all this information and share all this information. In the event that you come across something like that, you can jot down this information in that way, or put it in your phone or however, so that as soon as you take the pictures and the videos, then you got the information right in your phone, to where you're able to immediately be able to contact these centers to receive help. As a matter of fact, I'm going to write those numbers down myself, because I'm telling you to write them down. I need to write them down. But anyways, I have it on video, but I still need to write it down and put it in my phone, because I never know when I may run across the exact same thing that I'm telling you about. Because see, I'm the type now, I'm getting more and more used to using my phone to take pictures and whatnot. If somebody is around me that's weird or whatever, do weird things, I take photos and I zoom in on the license plates, stuff like that. Okay, so I left that up long enough. You should have been able to have gotten all that information written down by now. So we're going to keep it moving. Let's see. And plus it's on video. So you can always come back. Just remember, this child could have been your child. This child, oh, and one more after her, I'm sorry. I thought I was done. And this child is making it is very, very clear. No one is for sale. Not for sale. Not just this child, any child. No child should be for sale. Okay? So, okay, that's the end of that. I just, parents, watch your kids, please. Just watch your kids. You know where they're going to be each moment of each day, so keep up with them. You know, give them cell phones. Invest in cell phones that will help your child to be able to make it to adulthood, okay? Now, these are the 10 Commandments. I'm just going to kind of say them because we went over these. Thou shalt have no other gods before our God. It says, and make no graven images. It says, do not take the Lord thy God's name in vain. Honor the Lord's Sabbath day. Remember the Lord's Sabbath day to keep it. Honor thy father and thy mother, thy parents. Do not murder. Do not kill. Do not commit adultery. Do not steal. Do not bear false witness against thy neighbor, or do not lie. And there is no such thing as a little lie or an excusable lie. A lie is a lie. And we read several scriptures that made it known that liars are going to go to hell. So stop lying. Okay, don't put yourself in a position where you have to lie. Thou shalt not covet. You should not want what belongs to somebody else. Okay. So now you see what's next. That was the book of the law. The prophecy. Okay, now we're just going to keep it moving. The Egyptians, the prophecy of the Egyptians, they spent of the Israelites in Egypt to serve the Egyptians, turned out to be 430 years. I think that we went over that. And then, okay, curses of Deuteronomy 28, when they were scattered across the nations. And we just kind of went over this, but in another different scenario. But we went over the curses and the different abuses that took place as a result of slavery. I'm going to just kind of scan through these pictures. This is future prophecy. Now, past prophecy still. But the other videos, basically, we were touching on some things as to why God is will plague these nations. Now, if this coronavirus, matter of fact, wait, before I start on this, because let me back it up, because I got all these files. I don't know how this is not in here. Okay, I want to talk about this right now, if I can find it. Let me see. Yeah, we're going to talk about that too. Yeah, we went over this before, but let me see something. Okay, probably should have been here. Alright, well, okay, I'm not seeing what I was looking for. Okay. I don't think it was here. Okay, maybe it is. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Okay. So I wanted to go over this after we went over the plagues, okay? I mean, not over the plagues. We went over the sins of the nations. That's what we just did, okay? We just talked about the type of sins that are abominable before God and the type of stuff that we have been doing that God is frowning down upon. And we went over quite a few things. And these things were not, I mean, even down to bloody meats and fat and things like that. And there's many things that can get us in trouble. And to keep from getting caught up in these things, you need God in your life. You need our YAH God in Yahushua's name. Our YAH God, Y-A-H, Yah, and Yahushua, Y-A-H-U-S-H-U-A, the Hebraic name of God and Yahushua. That's their Hebrew names, okay? We know that the fictitiousness of this society has been just that. But I want to go over this here, because those things that I just went over were the sins of these nations. And I'm sure it's a lot more than what I went over. But those things that I went over, you can recognize that those are sins of these nations. And when God sends plagues, things such as HIV, hepatitis B, Ebola virus, adrenovirus, influenza, rabies virus, bacteriophage, papilloma virus, rotavirus, and herpes virus. Now, I don't know if these viruses are all incurable or curable. I honestly cannot tell you. But in most of them I've never even heard of. I just written the names down so I can make you aware of some of the things that God is able to put upon this earth, and there's nothing that man can do about it. We have a lot of sins going on in these nations, and we're all guilty. All of us. We have done something. Now, it is up to us to clean up our acts and to get ourselves back on track with the Lord. Look, okay, after I go over these, we're going to go over to pray. You have to confess your sins. Okay, we read where you have to confess your sins to the Lord, not to man, but to God. So let me go through these, and then we can learn how to return to God and confess. Because a lot of people say, well, I want to return to God, but I don't know how. Okay, we're going to go over that, because it can be confusing when you just don't know. You know, I'm not saying, okay, what we're experiencing today, and which has had the nations, not just one nation, this earth in a panic, basically, shutting down cities and shutting down places, businesses, all types of stuff, has been affected by this here coronavirus. And they're still trying to figure this virus out. You know, who is this virus? Who's more susceptible to catching this virus? And who is able to, who's carriers and who's not, and all this, okay? This is what they believe the coronavirus looks like up close. And there's not much information really that I can give you about this plague. And I call it a plague because when God sends something, there's no way to cure it. There's no way to combat it. Okay, because if that's the case, how come they have not found a cure for other diseases, whatever kind of diseases they have not yet found cures for? Now, I pulled this up, but I couldn't begin to tell you what in the world any of these are. I just pulled them up so you can see them up close. But if you are a medical individual, you might be able to recognize some of these uh, um, viruses, but I could not begin to tell you what they are. But understand that God can send anything against this world that He wants. And the people that He wants to wipe out as a result of their sin, He's able to do just that as well. Whether He comes against one person alone or against a nation. He can come against one person alone, or He can come against a nation. Let me see. See, that's why you have such awesomely good benefits when you are serving the Lord. Well, that's not the scripture I'm looking for. But this is the time that when we went through slavery, our ancestors went through slavery. It says, "Then shall they cry unto the Lord, but He will not hear them. He will even hide His face from them at that time, as they have behaved themselves ill in their doing." So when we went through slavery, God said that He hid His face for a moment. Let me see. And see, you got to remember, that God's time is very different from our time. If God hides His face for a moment, that moment is a long time when we're talking about human life. It says, "In a little wrath I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness I will have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer." Wow. It says, "For our light affliction, which is but for a moment, worketh for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory." Well, I mean, but see, you got to understand, and that's, of course, Paul talking, but it says, "In a little wrath." He said, "In a little wrath." Now, God has been extremely hot with us at times, but it says, "In a little wrath I hid my face for a moment." Do you know how long a moment of God's time would be for us? Do you know how many generations would go past during God turning His head away and then turning back to us? Because you got to remember, God's time is different from our time. So when God say, "In a little wrath," help us if He gets really pissed in His hot wrath, "I hid my face from thee for a moment, but with everlasting kindness I will have mercy on thee, saith the Lord thy Redeemer." In the end, He is going to do some awesome things. So understand that God can come against, He can come against, okay, let me see this. He can come against, whether He come against a man, whether He come against a man, or whether he just choose to come against a nation. You look, He okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to have to look it up this way. Because there's some things I kind of want you to see. But it's so much word, I couldn't possibly. I mean, you know how you can remember, you know scripture, but it's so much word that to retain where everything is. Like, there was times I used to could know where certain things were, because those were things, those were things that meant something to me. You tend to hold on to scriptures when they hit home with you. And that's primarily, those were the things that I primarily held on to, was the scriptures that pertain to me. I remember reading that my soul thirst, followeth hard after thee. And I never forgot that scripture, because it fit me. It's amazing. Okay, maybe it's nation. Okay, let me just. Oh, goodness. I think I should have stuck with the nation. Okay. I need to memorize this so that when I need it, it'll be a lot easier for me to, but it's so much scripture. It's hard to, it will be just hard. Okay, anyway, I'm doing it again. I'm spending too much time here. Okay. Because, if you don't get it completely the way that it's worded, it will not pull it up. Okay, so anyways, I'll find it again, because I'm getting things like port of abomination in and stuff like that. Surprised it didn't come back up. Okay, but anyway, he was basically saying is that he can come up against a man, or he can come up against a nation, and who can hinder him? Who can stop him? Irregardless as to if he plans to deal with you, who's going to stop it? Okay, and that's basically what it was saying. All right, well, anyways, that's what I wanted to show you. And I think, and let me see. Okay, let me not keep looking for that. But anyways, God can come up against you, and there's no one that can help you. When God gets on you, you on your own. He can use even his elements and to send them upon any part of this earth that he wants it to. And it don't have to be for what you could understand. But God's elements are no joke. You got this type of lightning bolting down. I most certainly wouldn't want to be in that area. I most certainly would not want to be anywhere near that cloud. And lightning is so fast. Once I saw a video where a man kept becoming struck by lightning, and he would be out for a while, and then he'd wake up and walk a distance and got struck again. Let me see if I can pull that up. Well, let me not do that, because I'm always But what's the chances of something like this happening? And you got to understand, they do photo crops. So you can't always, I mean, the chances of these types of, all these twisters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and who's to say beyond that picture, and then you got one coming down. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one coming down. But I'm going to show you an image, because you got to be careful of people that post up pictures. Okay, I purposely kept this one picture. Let me see if I can find it. But I purposely kept this one picture because sometimes people will I know it's not in here because oh yeah, it is here, right here. I took this to show you that when you see pictures on the internet, you know, always have another way to be able to follow up on whatever it is you look at on the internet, because this here, where people would look at this and believe that somebody actually captured this image, where you got the sun's rays coming down, and here you have the image of supposedly angel, which that's not how angels look, and then you got people going up, descending up. And you got to understand that, look at this big tower. Okay, look at that big tower. Have you ever thought to compare a human body? Normally they have a little gate lining down at the bottom, and you can, and the human being is barely even that tall. But look at the height of all these individuals here. Look how long they are. And you got to remember, when you see an airplane up in the sky, the airplane looks like a little speck, just like a little bitty dot, slowly going across the sky. Now think about an airplane that's a little bitty speck slowly going across the eye in comparison to these long figures. Okay, these extremely long figures that is about the same height as this great big long tower, that would be heck of a lot higher than the average human. No human would be this tall if they were on this tower. They would be like little bitty specks that you wouldn't even be able to see. Okay, but these are showing long lengthy there's no way that could be. Okay, but to show you how people do photo crops, I'm gonna have a little fun with you. See, when you see photos like this and it's showing this depiction of an angel, don't be so quick to believe this stuff. Okay, and I'm gonna show you why. Okay, we notice here, this is a picture of an eagle. This is a rainbow. These are the clouds. Okay, then these are the birds in the nest. Well, what is the nest sitting on? Okay, you see the rainbow coming right past the nest. But what is the nest sitting on? Nothing. So we know that's photo crop. Somebody took a picture of some clouds, put an eagle in, put a nest in, and a rainbow in. Okay, that's photo cropping, putting pictures on top of picture to try to make them kind of look real. But this here is another example of photo cropping. Okay, now what somebody did to make this look realistic, they have a bird that's flying in the air with his wings down, kind of being down, and they got a weasel or some sort piggyback riding on top of this bird, right? So somebody else decides to expose the deceit of it. So what they did, they added to it and made basically a joke of it. It was fun. It's funny to watch. Okay, the next one is Obama flying on the So somebody put an image of Obama. Okay. Okay, so Obama's tie is flying up in the air because wind is blowing, but he's shooting beams out, and he's on. There's the bird, there's the weasel, and Obama sitting on top of him, flying, right? Okay. So that's one photo crop, and then they get real funny. And I'm gonna try not to show these up close, but well, they're so small you can't help but make them big so you can see what it is. Now this second one is showing just the bird flying, and he's got a giraffe. Now what's the chances of that, right? Okay, and how big is a giraffe in comparison to that little bird? Okay, so it just goes to show you that people can take images and they can photocrop these images to make it seem like, you know, it's possible when it, in fact it's not. Now they got the action hero on back of the bird riding, and these are just humorous, just something to that I thought was funny. And now they really getting wild with it. They got the bird, they got the weasel, they got somebody riding with a cape, and then they got a noose around both of their both the bird and the weasel. Then they got some girl hanging down on a ball, and somebody balancing it on the bird's head. You know, so they just really got funny with this. Okay, but it just goes to show you that people, there's a lot of deceit in there. And you know, when they're doing these photo crop, there's always going to be somebody deceitful. Now you got the bird, you got the weasel, and you got a girl sitting on it with a chain. Okay, so this is now my favorite. I don't know if this is going to be it. This is my favorite. Boy, when I saw this, I thought that was so funny. I mean, this man, he is sitting, he's got a noose around the bird's neck, and he's sitting on the bird and the weasel. And he's got glasses on, and he's just chilling out on his ride. Then he got a spaceman pursuing behind them, that's driving behind them. So I just had fun. It was just so funny to me when I first saw that. And you know, it made it even humorous to sit up there when he added the little space creature on. So understand that just because you see photos on the internet, don't just assume that they're true, that they're right. People are out there putting up all kinds of nonsense, and it's called photo cropping. Okay, so where were we? We were in present day because we kind of went through the other ones because those were on the videos. Now we're going to get into this here. Yeah. Now Deuteronomy, I would like to express something that these people, Genesis 15, it talks about them being in bondage in Egypt for 400 years. In Genesis 15:13, let's look that up. Genesis 15:13. Since we have that pulled up, we'll look it up so you can see it better. Genesis 15, and let's see what it reads. Oh, that's where we were, weren't we? I done just jumped the gun. Okay. Well, that's, oh, you know something, wait, let me figure out where I was. Okay, let me back that up. Let me leave this alone for now, because we're talking about the sins of the nation and how God, okay, but I had fun just showing you that photo crop. Now, this here, it could have been, but the likeliness of this many tornadoes coming down at once, you know, but understand that people do photo crop, as I did show you in the early video. Now, it's not to say that this isn't real. It could be, but man, that many tornadoes coming down at once is a rarity. God's element can be hell's. I mean, look how big them hell balls are. That's enough to, that if that came down and hit somebody, that could knock them out. If not kill them, it could definitely do damage to their vehicle. Those are some big hailstones that have come down. God can, he's got all types of elements to keep us in check. You know, I mean, look at this flood. This flood has this is a rail here, and it done just went over, completely over that rail. You know, it's coming down through that bridge, but whatever this rail is, you know, if you was depending upon that rail, then you was in trouble. Okay. And this is an earthquake. I mean, God's elements, understand that if God decides he wants something to happen on this earth, he knows how to do things where